Facing their loved one's alleged murderer, why Raul Mesa was in court today and why families of victims say they won't back down.
Good afternoon. The front has passed. The air is starting to cool and we'll be dealing with some gusty winds. Details in first warning weather.
Plus, the brink of a breakthrough. Negotiations to bring Hamas-held hostages home. What a possible deal means as Israel continues its ground war.
It is a somber start to some people's week. Family members of victims came face to face with their loved one's suspected killer today, Raul Mesa. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Britt Moreno.
I'm Daniel Marin. The man one Austin leader called a serial killer appeared in court for a pretrial hearing, and the victims' families were there too. They say they're not going to miss any of the proceedings. KXAN's Brianna Hollis spoke with those families about what they're fighting for.
He couldn't even look up at us or anyone in the room.
Christina Foltz, the daughter of one of Raul Mesa's alleged victims, Gloria Lofton, sat in the front row of the courtroom Monday morning alongside the family of another alleged victim, Jesse Fraga, and the family of Kendra Page, who Mesa murdered in 1982. Police arrested Mesa in May in connection to the deaths of Fraga and Lofton. Both were found dead in their homes. Fraga in Pflugerville on May 20th and Lofton in East Austin in 2019.
To support and show support for these cases and, let this man know that he's not going to get away with this.
The hearing itself was procedural.
Made sure that the attorneys are still working on the case and making progress.
We're still going to be showing up for every single one. There's not going to be one that one of us misses.
Mesa's 30-year murder sentence in 1982 came because of a plea deal. He got out 11 years into that for good behavior and made the following public announcement upon that release.
I can only tell you that in my heart, I know that I will not willfully bring harm to anyone.
As they spoke amongst themselves outside the courtroom, the Page family told the others to push back on any plea deals if they can.
No plea deal, and definitely the death penalty. This man's been ruining generations of lives through decades, so we're going to hopefully make it stop.
Mr. Mesa is in a very tough position. He obviously doesn't want to be incarcerated, and so he is trying to figure out what his best options are at this point.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
And Mesa's attorneys say it's too early to discuss plea deals. The judge reset today's hearing to January 17th. Now, going in depth, Mesa's criminal history dates back even before the murder of Kendra Page. He killed a little girl while he was out on parole for an aggravated robbery from 1975 when he was a teenager. During that store robbery, the manager was shot in the back. According to archived newspapers, Mesa also spent time in juvenile detention for shoplifting, burglary, and arson charges.
As holiday travel ramps up, we're learning what exactly passengers want to see improved at the Austin airport. Now, the airport conducted a survey this summer with nearly 2,000 participants. It's part of efforts to expand and revitalize airport facilities. It's called Journey, and it's a decade-long expansion plan that includes a new outbound baggage handling system, security checkpoint expansion, a Westgate terminal expansion, the creation of a new 20-gate concourse, as well as revitalized international arrivals areas and restrooms. Now, the survey split responses into business or leisure travelers, or even both. Let's check out responses for leisure travelers, since it is the holidays, and the holidays includes more of that. So they want things like better terminal access from parking lots and garages. People want VIP or assisted arrival options for people using wheelchairs or traveling with kids, climate conscious pedestrian pathways like a tunnel or a bridge to get to and from terminals, and better wayfinding and intuitive options, especially for people who have hearing or sight limitations, just to name a few. Now, digital reporter Kelsey Thompson has more survey findings, including wants for business travelers. That's under this story over at KXAN.com.
All right, Rich
hello
joins
there.
us now. Yeah, hey there.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And can we just say happy birthday? We
Oh,
know you have
thank
one.
you.
So
Happy
many
birthday.
folks have birthdays around the holidays. It's like double the celebration, right?
2 pumpkin pies instead of just one now. I had one for my birthday and one for Thanksgiving.
Yay.
We had a nice warm and balmy day today. Temperatures reaching the 80s in some areas, but a cold front came through and it will interrupt that nice warm weather, and it has delivered some chillier air that will really be noticed as we get to tomorrow morning and through the rest of the week. We were sunny for a bit this afternoon, but then we saw a little bank of clouds start to increase and move on into parts of Williamson, Travis, and hanging back into Burnett, southeastern Llano, much of Blanco and Gillespie counties. No rain underneath the these clouds. The rain is gone after what little rain we saw earlier. Right now, the Lorenz 360 cam out at Westlake, 76 degrees. Temperatures have fallen into the upper 60s to low 70s for the hill country, low to mid to a few upper 70s, up to that 81-degree reading right now down at Luling. We are heading to the 50s for our lows tomorrow morning. The air is dry with most humidity readings right now in the 20s and 30s, except for those in Lee and Fayette counties where the humidity is still just a little high. We'll go with those wind gusts, tell you all about that and what lies ahead for this Thanksgiving week and first warning weather in just a few minutes. Daniel?
All right, Rich, thank you very much. A few dozen demonstrators gathered to rally at Butler Park in Austin today, calling for children held hostage by Hamas to be released. Now, this comes as Israel expands the ground war in Gaza as forces hit a second hospital.
President Biden saying a hostage negotiation is near. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest details for us, but we do want to warn you, some of this video we're about to show you is hard to watch.
The brink of a breakthrough on hostage negotiations. That is the tentative message fueling hope for the families of more than 200 men, women, and children kidnapped by Hamas. Many of the families marched this weekend in Israel, pressing their government to act. President Biden asked today whether a hostage deal is near.
I believe so, but I'm not prepared to talk to you. So? Yes.
The U.S. and Qatar have been mediating the negotiations that sources tell NBC News would free some hostages in exchange for a pause in fighting.
We are closer than we have been in quite some time.
Nothing is final, and the talks have fallen apart before, but Israel is under mounting pressure, both over the civilians and its tactics in Gaza, amid an international outcry over civilian deaths.
We start to see some of the initial support for the Israeli military operation beginning to fracture around the world.
With condemnation sharpest over violence at hospitals, Israel released new video it says shows a Hamas tunnel with a blast door under Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa. NBC News cannot independently verify that. Seeking to bolster its case, backed by U.S. intelligence that Al-Shifa sits above a Hamas command facility, Israel shared this security footage that it says shows two hostages taken to Al-Shifa on October 7th, the day Hamas attacked Israel. Hamas admitting it took hostages to hospitals, it says for treatment, though the video shows one dragged down a hallway. Again, NBC News cannot independently verify the details. We have learned that more than 24 premature babies were evacuated from Al-Shifa to a hospital in Egypt. Some did not survive the trip. Tiny symbols of the enormous stakes. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And the World Health Organization says that it hopes the evacuation of those premature babies will become a new standard in the conflict, saying Israeli cooperation and other humanitarian operations has so far been subpar.
Well, NBC News has released its latest national poll, and it shows President Biden's approval rating has dropped to its lowest level of his presidency, 40%. Now, strong majorities of all voters disapprove of his handling of foreign policy and the Israel-Hamas war. And in a hypothetical general election matchup, Biden narrowly trails former President Donald Trump for the first time as young voters break away from Biden. Although the deficit is well within the poll's margin of error for a contest that's still more than 11 months away. Notably, Trump holds a slight advantage in the survey among voters ages 18 to 34. That's a reversal from the past election results and past NBC News polls.
'Tis the season for getting sick. The illnesses we're seeing most of this time of year and what you can do to prevent them.
Plus, the new floats to keep an eye out for at this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Well, the holiday season is here, and so are the sicknesses. Peak activity of the flu is typically between December and February, according to the CDC. Tarrytown Pharmacy says it usually sees an uptick of the flu after Thanksgiving. But pharmacists there are saying right now they're seeing mostly sinus illnesses, some ear infections in kids, and of course an increase in RSV in children.
Texas is really starting to ramp up with RSV in the kiddos, and so that's usually earlier than we usually see. Usually RSV will peak around January or February, but now we're starting to see it peak in November and December.
Now here's the tough thing. Tarrytown and other pharmacies across the country continue to see a shortage of RSV shots for children under the age of 2. The FDA approved that drug in July. Our Taylor Gertman looks into what can be done to prevent you getting sick this season. Check out the story at KXAN.com.
And starting today, the White House is making free COVID tests available again ahead of winter. You can get up to 4 tests at no charge, and anyone who did not order a batch of 4 COVID tests back in September, well, you can get 8 of them this time around. Just go to covidtests.gov to get them. The U.S. Postal Service will deliver them for free.
One wrong decision can change your life and so many others. The operation's underway to keep drunk drivers off the road this holiday season.
After the mild morning that we had today with lows in the 60s, we're going to drop significantly, not only tomorrow, but as we head through the rest of this Thanksgiving Day holiday forecast. We'll detail it for you when we return.
Well, this time of year is special for many, spending time with family and friends. But for others who have lost loved ones, it can be really hard.
Absolutely. And authorities are asking you to do one simple thing to prevent that from happening. Plan ahead to have a safe and sober drive home if you think you'll be drinking this week. KXAN traffic anchor Erica Brenes spoke with a mother who lost her son to a drunk driver, and she has her painful story.
The choice that man made devastated our lives. The choice that man made to get behind the wheel after drinking shattered our lives.
Kendra Sellers is asking for one simple thing as she prepares for the second Thanksgiving without her son.
There is always another choice, that it's a choice that you make to get behind the wheel and drink. And it's 100% preventable.
It's not just that a drunk driving arrest costs a lot of money. Austin police say it carries an emotional and mental burden.
There's been people that I've pulled over coming back from celebrating. They just graduated college and they just got their master's degree or bachelor's degree or teaching certificate and wound up making the wrong decision and driving, and it's cost them a lot.
Law enforcement officials aren't asking you to not drink, but to plan ahead.
Enjoy yourself. Have a good time spending those precious times with family, friends, and loved ones. But prepare yourself for the holidays. Act responsibly when it comes to consuming alcohol.
Throughout the holiday season, law enforcement across Texas beef up patrols to catch intoxicated drivers.
Well, during the holidays, we always have increased drinking. More people are out on the roads, more people are partying, of course. So for us, it's always a busy time of year in general, but then also with the drinking and the partying, it makes us that much more aware of drivers on the highway and on the roads.
In Austin, Erica Brenes, KXAN.
And the Austin Police Department is enforcing a DWI no refusal initiative this Thanksgiving. The operation started last week and will continue each night through next Sunday. Now, during a no refusal period, if someone is suspected of driving while intoxicated, APD can get a judge to sign a search warrant to draw their blood if they refuse a breathalyzer test.
NBC Nightly News, along with our sister station in Dallas, is giving us some depth on road safety. The U.S. sees more than 42,000 traffic deaths per year, but it's not all from things like drunk driving. Here in Texas, part of the problem is road design. Wide, straight lanes give a false sense it's safe to drive too fast. Road designs like intersections and narrower lanes can help mitigate the number of traffic deaths. Tonight, NBC Nightly News takes you to Canada, where they've seen fewer deaths after changing roads.
All right, well, we are counting down the days until the 97th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and there's always something new to see. The new House of Sweets float by Brock's is a giant, oversized piece of candy. There's a bunch of it on there, and there's also the deliciously delectable Wonka float this year with almost 600,000 pieces of candy on it. Solo Stove also has one that has a moving campfire on it, and of course the crowd favorites like the Snoopy and Ninja Turtles. Those balloons are going to be back. There will also be performances by Cher, John Baptiste, and more. You can watch the 97th Thanksgiving Day Parade Thursday morning, of course, right here on KXAN.
So exciting. And you know, we're all curious because we've been anticipating the weather to change and to get a little cooler. So what are things looking like? Supposing we have a lot of folks doing some holiday travel to get to their Thanksgiving destinations.
You know, there will be delays because of bad weather in various parts of the country. Now, flying out of here should not be a problem because the cold front has passed. We didn't get a whole lot of rain out of it. But it's getting to your destination because especially in airports to the east and northeast. That is where we might find a few delays, and maybe even into Denver as well. Well, good evening. David has the evening off. We are seeing a little more cloud cover fill in the metro and eastern portions of our viewing area after going sunny for a bit during the afternoon. This is the view from clouds and radar, and most of that thicker cloud cover extends from Georgetown back into the Fredericksburg area, moving to the southeast. And speaking of Georgetown, how about this shot from the Ewald Kubota weather camera as the sun begins to set here on this Monday night? And now the chilly air settling in too, because we've got that north wind now. We had a northwest wind once the front passed. Now the wind's coming out of the north, gusts around 15 to 25 for the next several hours. And then overnight through tomorrow morning, we're going to find some gusts up at around 20 to 30 miles per hour, and that will continue on into the morning and early to mid-afternoon hours before those wind speeds do start to subside. We may get some at 30 to 35 too during the day on Tuesday. Temperatures at 9 o'clock will be in the 50s and 60s as the air continues to cool to low temperatures tomorrow morning, mostly the upper 40s to low 50s. Pick out your favorite city and you'll see about where your low will be. And then for tomorrow, temperatures will peak, if you will, in the mid and upper 50s to a few in the lower 60s. We'll go 61 for the high, and then we really drop on Wednesday morning with several lows in the 30s. And either Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, we may be dealing with a bit of a freeze, and then we'll warm back into the upper 50s to low 60s on Wednesday afternoon. The clouds will clear somewhat during the overnight. We'll go partly cloudy to start the day Tuesday, then go mostly sunny Tuesday afternoon, and then a clear sky Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, and the day before Thanksgiving is going to be bright under a sunny sky. Then Thanksgiving Day morning may start out with some clouds and a little bit of rain. I've got to cover yourself. 20% chance of rain in Thursday morning's forecast. The afternoon will start cloudy, and then we'll see some clearing to a sunny sunset. Clouds return to the area Friday and Saturday, and then rain back in the forecast late Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. Rain Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon, and there may well be a little bit of rain on Monday, and you'll see percentages coming up in just a little bit. Any rain that we do get late in the weekend and early next week. On the update now, we see just about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in the hill country and 1/3 of an inch to 2/3 of an inch in areas along and east of I-35. Pollen count today, mold just showed up. It's low and lower than yesterday. Our muggy meter will find very comfortable air, low humidity for the next several days. Tonight, our forecast is calling for a low of 51. 40s in the outlying areas tomorrow morning. Sunshine, fair weather clouds Tuesday, high 62 with a north wind at 15 to 20. We'll be in the low 60s on Wednesday. The upper 50s on Thanksgiving Day. Low to mid 60s on Friday. Upper 50s to low 60s Saturday with that chance of rain late. And then with rain chances in the forecast Sunday and Monday, highs will be in the low to mid 50s. Well, we are inside of 48 hours to go before our Friendsgiving Challenge ends. It's David against Kristen, and I will tell you that one of them is up by $410. That one of them has reached 90% of their goal, the other 89. So we still need your money and your donations for the Central Texas Food Bank. We want to thank all of you who have donated so far. And for those of you that haven't, now's the time to do it.
Well, it's a Stanley survival story, how the popular water bottle managed to live through a woman's car fire and how the company is now giving back.
Right now, our exclusive with Israeli drone operators opening up to us about civilian casualties. Also, with the help of our Dallas station, we look at what's behind so much carnage on the roads, what researchers say about speed and road design tonight.
Well, singer Shakira has reached a settlement to avoid a trial over unpaid taxes in Spain. The deal was announced after the pop star appeared before the Barcelona High Court today. Shakira is accused of not paying over $15 million in Spanish income tax between 2012 and 2014. As part of the deal, she accepted the charges and agreed to pay a fine of 50% of the amount owed. Prosecutors accepted the proposed fines and dropped their request for an 8-year prison sentence. Shakira also has a second tax fraud investigation pending.
Okay, you know those super popular Stanley water bottles that everybody seems to have? Well, for one woman, it is proving to be really popular. Her car caught fire, and this is pretty amazing. The flames destroyed everything except the Stanley mug, and it still had ice in it. The woman named Danielle posted the video of the car and her basically untouched Stanley on TikTok. She didn't say where she lives or how it happened, but she says her Stanley survived and it was still cold. Then the Stanley CEO posted a response video on TikTok saying they're going to send Danielle a bunch of new bottles and they even want to buy her a new car.
Nice. All right. Well, tonight on KXAN, it's The Voice at 7 o'clock, followed by That's My Jam at 9. And then we're back with KXAN News at 10.
You can join us an hour earlier for KXAN News at 9 on CW Austin. And here is where to find us.